We also visited 5 hospitals where there were around 32 to 35 patients who were being treated of Indian origin who were injured in that fire. And we spoke to them individually. We inquired about their health, and all the hospitals and the directors were there. And I would also like to thank the hospital staff of each hospital that exceptional care is being taken by the hospital staff and the doctors of those patients. And most of them are likely to be discharged in a couple of days. See, we do not look at it how challenging it was. It had to be done. We took all possible steps, all possible efforts to have it done. And normally, as I said before, this would have taken at least a week, 10 days. But because of the good relationships between our government and the Kuwaiti government and the sensitive issue that it was, and especially with the Prime Minister's intervention on this part, on his part, the royal family of Kuwait, the officials, the ministers, His Highness of Kuwait, they all took personal interest so that the bodies could be brought back as soon as possible. And in the hospitals, we are told that His Highness has called up the hospital people and the Minister for Health personally, and the Minister of Health has himself done rounds of the hospitals where the people injured are being treated.
So in Kuwait, the Kuwait government has taken up the inquiry. Any details about that inquiry?
Yes, the Kuwaiti government is taking this incident very seriously, and they're taking all possible steps. They're making inquiries as to how it happened, so that this kind of a tragic incident is never repeated again. And they assured us that they will take all possible steps. They have also assured us that all the paperwork regarding the insurance that is to be paid to the families, the compensation, will be done as immediately as possible. And His Highness has also, from his part, also provided a compensation to the families of the victims who have perished in this tragic incident.
So one more thing, only 35 persons dead bodies are this in Trivandrum, in Kochi. So what about the rest people? Some are...
No, I'll give you the details. 31 victims are from Kerala and surrounding southern states. Those remains are being offloaded here. The remaining will be offloaded in Delhi, and then from there they'll be transferred to their respective homes.
So you discussed the arrangements that happened in Kerala? Right now?
I'm sorry?
The arrangements that are done in Kerala. So,
that is, no, I'm not aware of that. We've just come out from the airplane, and those arrangements are being done by the government here, and I'm sure they'll be adequate.
there are a lot of injured persons out there in Kuwait. So what about their cases?
I just spoke to you about that the people who were injured in this incident, they are in hospitals, they have been put in 5 different hospitals, which are the best hospitals of the country. And we visited all the 5 hospitals, and we met with all the injured people individually, each and every one of them, inquired about their health. And the doctors and the team and the directors of the hospital were accompanying us to each patient. And individually we inquired about their health, their well-being. We took stock of the injuries, how long will it take them to be discharged. So there were some with fractures who had jumped from the 2nd floor or the 4th floor. Obviously, the fractures will take some time to heal. They will be in the hospital for a couple of weeks. But the other persons who had inhaled smoke and had harm, and lungs were harmed to some degree, I'm happy to say that they're recovering very rapidly, and most of them are going to be discharged in a couple of days from the hospitals.
Any persons were seriously injured in ICU or something?
There were 3 people in the ICU, of which 2 are recovering in the proper way. And there's 1 person who the doctors will be keeping in the ICU for some time. There's just 1 person who they are very hopeful of recovery, but it will just take a bit longer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, going back to Shiv Arur on that, Shiv, we get a confirmation that things have been smooth. The External Affairs Junior Minister, who's himself landed in Kuwait and brought back the mortal remains with him, he's accompanied the aircraft, and we see those live images right now beaming from the Kochi airport.
That's right. GC Vardhan Singh, the Minister of State for External Affairs, who was there, Nabila, the following day itself, confirming that everything has happened smoothly. But there are still many unanswered questions. Let's remember the staggering figures of this story. 45 Indians, have died from different states, most of them from Kerala. come from Andhra Pradesh, from Tamil Nadu, from from Punjab as well. The fact is, an investigation will need to happen into how this fire actually took place. 45 is a huge number. You're talking about accountants, engineers, supervisors. Some of the people here, pretty senior people in in a living quarters for migrant workers in a country where in excess of 40% of the migrant workers happen to be Indian citizens. There have always been concerns about the living conditions extended by the by the Middle East governments to migrant workers from different parts of the world, including India. This is a concern that has been raised constantly by India, and this appears to be a symptom of that. The reason why it's important to say this, Nabila, is because no journalists are allowed to film at these labor centers. No journalists are allowed access, to take sound bites or to interview people at these living quarters. They are pretty much out of bounds areas. Nobody's allowed to conduct any form of journalism there. There have been occasions in the past where people who've gone and filmed there had their tapes confiscated or the cameras confiscated. So it has led to people wondering what is there to hide. What kind of conditions are many of these people actually living in? Obviously, the people who live there and work there, they're unwilling to share too many details of this because their livelihood depends on it. They are sending remittances every month back to their families in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra Pradesh, wherever it is they're from. And this is a livelihood issue. As you know yourself, and you've traveled there, the huge Indian expat population in the different Gulf countries that live and work there, are in many ways a backbone of the labor and migrant worker community in that country. And therefore, I think the new government, the Modi 3.0 government, it is true that the Kuwait government may have extended compensation and assured accountability, etc. But this is an opportunity, I feel, for the Indian government to bite the bullet and ensure it turns the screws on these countries to make sure that these people are safe. It's one thing for Kirti Vardhan Singh, the junior minister, to say, we have to make sure this never happens again. But they need to put their money where their mouth is, because we've got literally millions of people, our citizens living and working in these countries. And this comes as a reminder. What has happened in Kuwait comes as a reminder that they are not safe. If 45 people in a single incident can die, many of them supervisors, many of them engineers, accountants, white collar work, in some of those areas, you would presume that they would have better working conditions. Even if you look very cynically at the kind of class system that obviously exists everywhere, this is horrifying. You can only imagine the kind of conditions in which blue-collar workers work in these countries. So this is an opportunity where accountability needs to be fixed. I'm just skeptical about whether that will happen, because in the past, Nabila, when Indians have died in some of these countries, nobody's ever heard after the incident about whether accountability has been fixed, whether blame has been fixed. You only hear about, some compensation happening, the bodies being brought home, and that's the end of it. So this time we will have to see whether, accountability can be fixed and, heads will roll.